In this lesson, we're going to talk about conditional formatting. Now, conditional formatting is just a little bit more advanced way of doing formatting where you apply it to cells or a table, and then whatever the data is in your table, the formatting will respond to what that is. So let's go ahead and get started, and we should be on the conditional formatting tab. And let's look at our example down here. We've got client bill rates per hour. And we've got 150, 100, 175, and those are all green, but below 100 they're in red. Watch what happens if I type a new value here. The conditional formatting automatically changes based on what you type in the cell. So we're going to go ahead and go through this. We're going to look how to set a rule, how to manage rules, look at data bars, icon sets, and then talk about a little bit of an application for this too. So the first thing we're going to do is wipe this out. So I've got to highlight my whole table down to the data bars and icon sets. And I'll go to my conditional formatting tool and go down to clear rules. And I'm going to clear the rules from the selected cells. You could clear from the entire sheet, but that would clear everything. And I've got some other formatting in another place in this worksheet. So now that they're clear, let's go ahead and set up conditional formatting for the red and green just on this first column here. So we'll highlight the cells first we want to put our conditional formatting on. We'll click the conditional formatting tool. And then there's a lot of options here. We've got highlight cells rules. These are some basic rules: greater than, less than, between, equal to. Some top and bottom rules: top 10, top 10%, bottom. Then we can set up data bars, color scales, and icon sets. Now we're going to go over several of these, but not everything. But once you see how they work, you'll be able to do any of these rules yourself easily. So we're going to start here with, we want to just highlight cells rules. We want a very simple rule. Everything that's greater than 100, we want to be green. So Excel popped up a little window when we clicked that. It said format cells that are greater than, and it's guessing 112.5. So instead of using that, let's go ahead and just type in 100. And over here, it's got a suggested format: light red fill with dark red text. You're going to see how we can change anything about the formatting, but the quick commands give you a quick way to apply formatting to it. So let's just click here. And there's actually an option to do a green fill with dark green text. So let's click that and click OK. Now it's still highlighted, so let's go up and do our red rules. We'll do conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, and we want everything that's less than 100. So here we'll say less than 100. And we want it to be light red fill with dark red text. We'll click OK. And there we have it. We've got our basic conditional formatting rules. Now if I change the value here, it changes to green. If I change it back, it goes to red. But now we want to get a little more control. We want to do a few more things. One of the things we want to do is we want all this conditional formatting to apply to all of these cells. And we want to make the colors a little different. This does show green and red, but it's not really that engaging for me. So I'm going to change that. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the cells again, go to conditional formatting, and manage rules. Okay. Now we'll talk about this manage rules box a little bit. Right now it just says show formatting rules for the current selection. So you can have a lot of different conditional formatting rules in your worksheet. They may or may not show you're in your current selection. So I could click this drop down and I can show all the rules for this worksheet. And there's several more on another table that we have down below. But it gets a little confusing then. So we want to go back and just do the ones that are based on the current selection. So now we have each rule as an independent rule. We've got our red formatted one for the cell values less than 100. And we got a green one for cell values greater than 100. Well, the first thing I want to do is extend this out to include the other column. So we'll go over here in our applies to, and that's the range of cells this rule applies to. We could just highlight that and delete it, and then highlight the new range we want that to be applied to. And if I click apply, then the red got carried over. Let's do the same thing for the green. Highlight that, delete it, and go all the way over there. Okay, now we want to change the formatting, the color. And one other thing, notice in our table, 100 doesn't have any color at all. Well, that's because we did a rule for every value less than 100 and a rule for every value greater than 100, but we didn't capture 100 itself anywhere. So let's make that green too when we get to there. Let's go ahead and start with the red. We'll just click Edit Rule. And now since this is just a background, this is a simple format, it's going to be pretty simple to edit. Right here it kind of gives you the rule details where the cell value is less than 100. And here's the format that it's going to be. But I can click this format button and it brings up our format cells dialog box, which we can change anything about the formatting that we want. So we're going to go to the fill. Instead of being a light red, we're going to make it a dark red. And then we'll go over to font. And instead of having the font color be the same as the background, let's make the font white. And we'll click OK on that. Now that looks pretty cool. So we'll click OK and apply it. Yeah, that's popping a little bit more. So let's go fix our green background. Click that, we'll click Edit Rule, and we'll go straight to the formatting. And we're going to change the color. I'm on the font, so I'll just go ahead and change the color to white. I know that's where I'm going. Then I'll go to Fill and choose a darker green color and click OK. And then the other thing we've got to change is where the cell value is greater than 100, we want it to be greater than or equal to 100. So we'll click that, click OK. And now when we click Apply, it changed all the greens to this better contrast and it included the 100 in there. Well, let's move on and do another type of conditional formatting, the data bar. So we've got a column of numbers here and we can see the numbers, but we really want a better graphic to see how they relate to each other. And for that, a data bar is really useful. So we'll highlight the cells we want to work on, go to conditional formatting and just go to data bars. Now here you could choose gradient data bar, which kind of fades out the data bar at the end of the cell. And this is more of a personal preference. I don't tend to gravitate towards those. So I'm going to use the solid fill and I'll click on that. And now this looks great. I got the data bars there. It shows how they are in relation to one another. It's really easy to pick out the leader there. But the numbers, they're kind of junking up the data bars. So let's go ahead and modify those. Highlight those and go to conditional formatting, go to manage rules. And now when I click edit rule, I'll have some different options because it is indeed a data bar. I can have some different things. I can have explicit minimum and maximum. I can change the color. But I don't want to change the color. What I want to do is click this button here that just says show bar only. That'll hide the numbers. And we'll click OK and apply. And now you see that looks much better. One of the things I want to show you real quick though is, even though we're showing the data bars, look back up at our formula bar. It still has the formula of where that number is coming from. So like I said, the formula bar will always tell you what's in the cell, no matter what we're presenting to people. Okay, let's go over here to icon sets. And here's where we want to put an indicator on the top 10 and bottom 10% of our bill rate. So let's go back to the conditional formatting tool and go to icon sets. And now there's a lot of different ones we can choose from, but we're going to pick just the green, yellow, red stoplight kind of view. And we'll click OK. Now the icon sets kind of automatically put in a formula and what you're going to do for you. So these you almost always have to go modify. This one looks like it's just kind of splitting it in thirds. So let's go back up and go to our manage rules. And we'll click on our icon set rule. And here we've got our icon sets. We got the icon styles. We could click in here and choose different ones again. And then we've got how it's evaluating these. So on the first one, the green, when the value is greater than or equal to 67%. And this type you can have it be equal to a number or a formula or a percentile, but it's just saying 67%, then make it green. We're going to have it turn yellow when it's between 33 and 67%. And then finally, for everything else, when the value is less than 33, we're going to have it red. Well, we want this to be 10%. So let's go ahead and change these. Let's just go here and say 90% because we want it to be green when the value is greater than 90% of the others. And then we don't really want anything in the middle. So let's just go ahead and say when it's less than 90 and greater than 10, we'll have it be yellow. And then when it's less than or equal to 10, it'll be red. Okay, let's click OK there and click apply. So that's pretty good. It got the upper one, the 180, and the bottom 2 and 2 in the bottom 10%, but it still has the yellow ones there. Let's go see how to do that. Go back to edit rule. And here where we have our specific icons for what it's going to be for each condition, we can click that drop down on the yellow one. We can change the icon to anything, or we can just say no icon. So it's just going to skip over that when it does the icon. And we'll click OK. Oh, one more thing. Let's have it show the icon only. And now we'll click OK and apply. All right, click OK. Now that looks pretty good. So immediately I'm drawn to the fact that this bill rate is the highest bill rate we have, and these two are low. If I look at the data bars, I can kind of get a general idea where everything is. And then the colors over here show me kind of, what are good rates and what are bad rates. So this is a really, really powerful tool. Okay, well now that we've kind of covered the basics of conditional formatting, let's see if we can apply those rules to a table with some real information. If I scroll down a little bit, I have a large table that has some sales from 3 different bakeries in New York, in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens. So what we want to do is we want to just color code the locations. We want to put indicators on the revenue to find out what the top and bottom performers are. And then we want to see some data bars on the revenue also to just get a real quick view of what's selling well and what isn't. Okay, so let's give this a try. Now, if you'd like to, what you can do is see if you can do this on your own first. So go ahead and pause the video, clear out the conditional formatting, and try to put these on yourself. And if you get stuck, you can just go back and finish the video. Or you can just watch along and we'll go ahead and do it together right now. So either way, just hit pause if you want to try it on your own. And if not, let's just go through it. Okay, well hopefully everybody's just checking their work at this point. Let's go ahead and clear the formatting from this table first. I'll do my Control A to clear the table. And I'm going to clear rules from the selected cells. And then I'm going to do the location first. I'll do my Control Shift down arrow to select that whole column. And now I'll go to conditional formatting, and I'm going to do highlight cells rules where the text that contains Brooklyn. And it filled it in there for me, so I can keep it. And we can just keep it at light red fill with dark red text, because that's going to change anyway. We're going to modify that. Click OK. Well, we still got that highlighted. Let's go ahead and put our other rules on. So we'll go to conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, and text that contains Manhattan. Now I know we're going to change it. So let's go down here, and instead of changing it to another preset, look at the other choice you have here. You can go right down to the custom format dialog right from this drop down. So if I click that, it brings up the formatting. And for Manhattan, we want to make that dark blue, and we want to make the font white. And click OK. And then you see that Manhattan came out just great. Now we got to change Brooklyn, and we got to add Queens. Now I lost my selection on this column. I could redo it, but watch this. Let's go back up to conditional formatting and manage rules. Now we've got two of the rules already, Manhattan and Brooklyn. We want Queens. Look at another thing we can do. We can just go here and duplicate the rule, and it'll duplicate everything, including the range it applied to. So let's go down here to the last Brooklyn one, and that's Queens. Let's modify that, edit the rule. So when specific text contains Queens, we want it to be an orange color with white text. Click OK. OK. And let's change our Brooklyn color while we're here. Let's go here into format, and we're going to make that a teal color with a white text. And click OK. Okay, well now let's go and do our revenue indicators. So let's go to this column and highlight the entire column. And we're going to go to conditional formatting and go to icon sets. And we'll choose these. And we want to modify this a little bit. We want it to just look at the bottom 10 percentile and then top 10 percentile. So we'll go to conditional formatting, manage rules. And here's our rule. We'll go ahead and click edit rule. And now we want it to be green when the value is greater than or equal to the 90th percentile. I think we're back there, so we'll click 90 there. And then for the middle one, we want it to be greater than the 10 percentile and less than 90. And then the last one will just be less than 10%. So in the middle one, we want to take off that icon and then click OK and apply. And now we've got a measure that shows the top and bottom performers for our stores. So the last thing we're going to do here is put our data bars on. Go ahead and click here and highlight all the way down, and we'll go to Conditional Formatting, Data Bars, and then we'll go back to Manage the Data, Manage Rules, and we can go in and remove the numbers from there. So we're just showing the bar only. And click Apply and OK. And that's it. Now we've put some pretty interesting graphics and indicators on our tables. It'll make it a lot easier to pick up the information. So let's get ready for the next module.